Hey everyone, so let's talk about real estate appraisal. A lot of people see it as this kind of quiet, brainy corner of the chaotic property world. But is it really that simple? We're about to pull back the curtain and get into the unvarnished truth. So, I want you to think about this for a second. When you picture a real estate career, does appraising seem like the chill option? Less of that high pressure sales stuff, more just crunching numbers? Yeah, a lot of people think that. But the reality, it's a whole different ballgame. Getting to be a successful appraiser isn't just a walk in the park. It's more like running a gauntlet. And it takes a kind of commitment that honestly catches a ton of people off guard. Okay, so here's the plan. We're going to walk through this gauntlet step by step. First, what's it really like on the ground? Then we'll get into breaking into the field. After that, the huge challenge of finding a mentor. We'll also look at the two very different sides of the job, surviving the crazy market swings, and then the big one, the final verdict on who this is all for. All right, let's get right into it. First up, the appraiser's reality. We're going to go way beyond that surface level appeal and see what this job is really all about. And the first dose of reality? Breaking into the field. This is where you face a really steep climb to get certified. And believe me, when I say steep, I mean it. This is not some weekend course where you take a quick test and you're done. No. This is a multi-year commitment, for real. So if you want to play in the big leagues, become a certified general appraiser, it all kicks off with a pretty serious academic foundation. We're talking a 4-year bachelor's degree. That's usually the very first hurdle, so the bar is set high right from the get-go. And just having that degree isn't enough. On top of it, you're looking at 300 hours of specialized training. This is the nitty-gritty stuff, the deep dive into the theories and practices that are like the absolute bedrock of this profession. Okay, and then comes the part where you get out of the classroom and into the real world. You need thousands of hours of supervised fieldwork. And I'm not just talking about tagging along and watching somebody. No, this is hands-on, in the trenches training with a certified pro, learning how it all actually works long before you're ever allowed to go out on your own. So let's recap. You've got the degree, you've done all the coursework, you've put in thousands of hours in a field, and you're still not done. The final gatekeeper? A whole series of really tough licensing exams that are designed to test you on literally everything you've learned. Okay, so you've made it through all that. You passed the exams, you should be good to go, right? Well, not so fast. Now you hit what might just be the single biggest obstacle of all, the mentorship challenge. This is the hidden bottleneck. I mean, remember all those thousands of supervised hours we talked about? Well, you've got to have someone to supervise you. And finding that person, that's where so many careers just stop. And this is the heart of the problem right here. To log those hours, you absolutely need a certified pro to take you under their wing. But, and this is a direct quote, finding someone willing to do that is surprisingly difficult. This isn't just a minor inconvenience, you guys. It's a massive roadblock that can delay your career for years or even end it before it really begins. But let's be optimistic. Let's say you do it. You find that mentor, you get your license. Awesome. So what's the job actually like day in and day out? Well, it's really a job of two halves. You've got this rugged fieldwork on one side and this super meticulous analysis on the other. I mean, think about it. One day you could be out in the field, literally with a hard hat on, measuring a building on a muddy construction site. The very next day, you're chained to your desk, completely buried in spreadsheets, complex data, and stacks of documents. You're constantly flipping a switch between these two totally different worlds, and it takes two completely different skill sets. And just to give you a picture of what that desk work really means, a typical commercial appraisal report, it can easily be over 100 pages long. And every single one of those pages is just jammed with data, analysis, charts, and every single detail has to be perfect. There is absolutely zero room for error here. Okay, so you're doing all this incredibly detailed, two-sided work. It's got to pay well, right? Which leads to the big question. What about the money? Well, here's the thing. This isn't your typical 9-to-5 with a steady paycheck. You're basically running your own business. And that means you're riding the financial roller coaster of the housing market. Yeah, your income is completely tied to how the real estate market is doing. When houses are selling like crazy, it's feast time. You're doing great. But when the market slows down, that work can dry up almost overnight. It's a classic feast or famine situation. So being good with your money isn't just a nice to have, it's an absolute survival skill. So, we've been through the whole gauntlet, right? The education, the mentor search, the job itself, the money roller coaster, which brings us to the final verdict. Who actually has what it takes to succeed in a field this tough? The person who really makes it in this business is a very specific type. You've got to be a super independent, analytical thinker, for sure. But you also need really strong communication skills. And maybe most important of all, you need that emotional resilience, that grit to ride out those crazy financial swings and not give up. So think of this like a gut check for yourself. Are you genuinely good with math and deep analysis? Can you write a clear, persuasive report? How are your time management skills when you're under pressure? And are you kind of obsessive about getting the details right? Because if you're shaking your head at any of these, this career is going to feel like a constant uphill battle. And there are a couple more things to throw into the mix. First, this is often a very solitary job. You're not usually part of a big team, you're on your own. And second, you're not just competing with other people anymore. You're up against new tech, like those automated valuation models you see online. But look, after all that, there is a huge reward at the end of this. For the people who can tough it out through those brutal early years, you can get something amazing, real professional autonomy. You're your own boss. And with that comes the chance for some serious financial stability down the line. It's a heck of a prize, but you really, really have to have the grit to earn it. So, that brings us right back to where we started, with a question for you. You've seen the whole thing now, the tough education, that crazy mentorship bottleneck, the split personality of the job, the market swings. So the question is, do you have that very specific mix of skill, dedication, and just plain perseverance to make it through all of that and claim the prize?